Hey, Miles here at Tactical Hyve. It's Sunday, so we're going to go back to our typical programming where Sunday is about competition shooting. And although I have my rig on and it is about competition shooting, really today's topic can apply to pretty much any type of shooting because I'm going to be talking about the red dot and sharing some tips so you can track that red dot more efficiently and effectively, because for a lot of beginners, when you're switching to a red dot, you will lose that red dot when you're presenting. But also, a lot of people, when you're moving in competition shooting, you might not find that red dot. So if you're interested to hear what I have to say, make sure to stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Previously with Joe Farewell, we made a video about switching to a red dot, where a lot of iron sight shooters, once they put on a red dot, it's hard for them to find that dot when they're presenting. But beyond that, it's even more complicated when you don't have your proper posture, or when you're moving around a lot more, maybe from one position to another position or target to target. If you don't have proper positioning or have never really practiced it a lot, then you are going to lose the dot as well. So there are certain things that you can do to improve. So obviously your natural point of aim, which we discussed, that's going to help throughout your entire shooting journey. So that will definitely help you maintain that red dot in your line of sight. But as we're moving, and you'll see here, I have this target array here, people lose it, as I mentioned. So what we're going to do, this can be dry as well as live. I'm going to talk about this dry first, then live. What I like to do is not just normal target transitions on the same level, where you might be going from one paper target to another paper target to another paper target. I like to change the size of the target as well as the elevation. And this is going to force you to start moving your body up and down, your sights up and down, and that can cause some challenges for people who haven't ingrained that natural point of aim, or they don't have that proper posture yet as they're switching from iron sights to red dots. And this is going to highlight that. And if you do notice that you're losing your dot, that tells you that, okay, this might be something where you have to revert back, really work on that natural point of aim, get a good shooting platform that's consistent, and then slowly progress from there. So even though I have these targets set up, I'm going to do this dry first here. And what the setup I have here, I'm doing this from 7 yards. And the idea, as I talked about, different difficulty size targets as well as the distance. And you can put this in any random order that makes sense to you or whatever you want. I like to switch it up for every training session. And this one is just randomly, I just picked this today. For this exercise, I like to use steel targets because I don't have to tape up a lot of paper targets, as well as it gives me that immediate feedback. So it helps me when I'm working on calling my shots. For some of you who might not know what that means, don't worry too much about it, but it allows me to take the shot, call it, and immediately move to the next target without having to worry if I hit it or not, right? So it's an exercise, and some people might say it's a handicap when you actually hear the ding. I agree and disagree, but that's besides the point right now. I do like to use steel just because it's quicker for me. And with steel targets, they're generally lower to the ground if you don't have, let's say, a big BC steel that's on a stand, you know, these poppers and these small plates. If you guys are wondering, I like to specifically use these. For example, these poppers are from shootsteel.com. Oh, the whole targets are, but these poppers in particular, I like them a lot because you can just drive them in. They're not really heavy like the other ones, and you know that fall. These are stationary, they're spring loaded, so you can pop them anywhere or put them anywhere. And I like this setup again because it's going to change my elevation, force me to change my elevation, as well as sometimes I'll have to, I might have to pause on the harder targets. So if I was doing this dry, okay, so I'm dry right here. What we're working on is literally just maintaining the dot in our line of sight, okay, not trying to lose it. So if I was doing this dry fire here, no shots have to be taken, really, if you're just focusing in on vision. So I might pick, let's say, the popper on the left, the paper, and then the paper, and then the popper on the right. That's what I might be doing. So on the buzzer, or just in the beginning, I might draw. Do I see the dot? Yes, 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 okay? That's as simple as it can be if you're just working vision. Now, if you want to do all driver together, you're working your trigger control, let's switch it up. I might do the paper, middle plate right there, then the paper. So I'll take my shot and then go through the motions with my trigger press. Proper dry fire technique and principles that you've probably learned. And if you're not familiar, you know, tune into our Monday dry fire sessions where we do a lot and we cover a lot of different techniques and principles. But if you are familiar with dry fire already, do whatever you want to in terms of whatever you want if you're working your trigger control. But the focus for right now is we're changing our body position relative to the targets and see if we lose our sights. You can add running as well. We're not going to do that for today, but it could be as simple as from here, me just taking 2 steps, going to the popper here, to the paper, and see if I lose my dot. The learning or the check is going to come when you go to the next target. Maybe I'm starting at that popper there and it's low, and then maybe I move up to the paper, then all of a sudden I've lost my dot. Okay, you need to keep that in mind. Remember if you lost the dot and diagnose. Okay, so what happened? Was my body off or did I hunch my head? Because we're adding a lot more movement here, your body position may not stay the same. So let's say you follow that video that Joe and I created and you can draw, you're always aligned, you can see the red dot all the time, no problems whatsoever. Then all of a sudden, as we start to add movement, maybe now you're hunching your head, shrugging your shoulders, and that's adding movement that might make it more difficult for you to see that red dot. Maybe now the red dot's not in the center of that window, maybe the dot is higher or whatever it is, but it's causing some disruption and maybe slowing you down because now you're not seeing exactly what you expect to see. So with dry fire, all you're going to do is you can pick random orders, okay, for each rep, or you can use the same one until you get it right. So let's say I'm going to do that left popper, paper, then that middle plate. Let's just say that's what it is. And I'm going to pretend that when I do this, maybe it's not on the buzzer, when I do this, okay, I see the dot, I see that, oh man, I lost it, I can't find it. So you might do that particular target array for as long as it takes until you see your dot for 10, 20 reps in a row. Then after that, then you can switch it up. You know, maybe do a different course of fire here, change it up. If you are more advanced and you're always seeing your dot, then maybe change it up. So maybe I'll do this 1 rep here. Okay, I see my dot, okay, good. Then do something else. Maybe popper to the paper, whatever it is, you get the idea. Once you're comfortable with that, add a little bit of movement, okay? There are 2 degrees of this. You could maybe draw, then add movement into a firing position, and then do your target array. And if you do that well, then the next step would be maybe adding movement even during the shots, okay? And that's just dry fire. So different levels here of how you can progress, and this is based on your skill level. So that's dry fire. Live fire is literally going to be the same thing, but now we're just adding shots to really validate if you're dry firing properly, and of course to work on that recoil management. If you are very familiar with dry fire, you know that there's a lot of value to it, and you don't necessarily need to be throwing rounds down range to get good training. But the live fire is going to validate your dry fire training. So I'm going to load and make ready, and it could be as simple as this. I'm going to start off with, remember the whole purpose of this exercise is really about tracking your dot, making sure that wherever you're looking, and once your gun gets there, that you're lined up. You're not looking for the dot. If you do that, and let's say you're not accurate for whatever reason, okay, I wouldn't worry. Yes, that's a big concern, but we don't necessarily need to worry about it right now. What I mean by this is, let's say you are missing because you overdrive. Let's say you definitely can see your dot, but maybe you just missed the popper or the paper because really you were lined up really wrong, like maybe on the right of the target where you're missing the shot, okay? But you can still see your dot, okay? That's another thing, and that's actually very minor. You can correct that pretty quickly. But for now, I'm gonna load and make ready. I'm gonna talk this through, okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do is from the draw, and there's not even a timer here, I'm going to shoot the popper, the paper twice, and then the middle plate. And while I'm doing this, I am checking to see if I lose the dot, okay, at any point in time. And that's what I need to register. So I'm not going to even do this on a timer here. I'm here. Okay. So I didn't lose the dot. Okay, now this one I'm going to miss it on purpose. So let's just say I am going to switch it up now. I'm going to do paper, then the right popper. And let's say I'm going to mess up. Okay, I'm going to mess up here. And notice how I would diagnose this. So I'm not going to use the timer here. So I missed that popper on the right. And it's because my dot no longer was there. I couldn't see it. So I need to remember that. Now, the cadence I'm shooting at, the rhythm, the speed, if this is too fast for you, you don't have to go that fast. I'm just demonstrating this, right? But let's just say that, let's two things here. If you're going at a comfortable speed where you know you can hit your shots and be accurate, and then all of a sudden you missed, you need to be conscious right then at that moment to understand, did you really see the dot or not? Okay, were you lined up or not? I couldn't see the dot there on the popper on purpose. It was I missed because it was completely gone, okay? It's different from you seeing your dot and you're missing because the dot wasn't on the target when you broke the shot, okay? So you have to be conscious of that. So hyper focus on that. Now, if you know that you saw the dot on the paper, you saw the dots here, and you missed it here, like you actively know, then you need to, what I would do is not firing, I would go through the motions again and see if I can get my dot to be lined up with my vision, right? Just on dry fire, so not even live fire. So it's very, very simple. So now you, again, when you're doing these stationary drills, you might just, you might do 10, 20 reps of the same course of fire until you get it right. Or you might do what I was just talking about. Maybe you do one course of fire, then switch it up to another course of fire until you mess up. But it's really up to you on your skill level. For those of you who are more experienced, now let's just add a few steps. So I'm right here. I'm just gonna do, let's just keep it simple here. 2 on the paper, 1 on the middle steel plate here. So I'm going to run into position now, okay? I'm gonna go into double action here. 2 on paper and then 1 in the steel. It can be as simple as this, okay? Okay. It could be as simple as that, and I'm looking at my dot, making sure I'm not missing it. Okay, so now let's just say that you're doing well with that. The other iteration we were talking about, I'm gonna go put this on double. What we're talking about is now maybe we do something with movement while we're shooting, okay? So remember, accuracy is important, but right now we're focusing on the red dot. So let me see if we lose the red dot while I'm moving. So I'm gonna go that popper, 2 on the paper, 2 on the paper, then that popper, okay, right here, while I'm moving. Okay, so I've missed the first popper, and that is a perfect instance of missing the popper, not because I didn't see the red dot, I just got, this is a gun that I'm getting used to, because the dot wasn't there when I broke the shot. I'm still not used to the double action. If you guys have followed my videos, I'm typically a single action only shooter, and I'm moving to this platform. So here, when I thought the shot would break, it didn't break yet because of that long double action pull, and my red dot, it was lined up with my vision, but it actually shot to the right and I didn't hit the target because my dot wasn't there. Okay? But you'll see I'm actually adding movement here, and even though it's not fast, that is enough for a lot of people to lose their dot, not just while stationary with the presentation, it's because of the movement, and now their body is changing a little bit. And you can do this slow, like literally, you can start off like this. Let me go on double action here again. I'm trying to learn this gun. Okay, so it might be as slow as this if you're just starting. Let's switch it up. Let's do 2 paper, 1 in the middle, and then the paper on the right. Okay, it could be as slow as this. Okay, it could be as slow as that in the sense that you are working on whether or not you lose your dot. Okay, then as you get comfortable, I'm gonna go to double action again here. As you get comfortable, then maybe speed it up. Okay, so there you have it. A simple exercise that you can do with 4 different steps that will help you maintain that red dot in your line of sight. Not only is it problematic for those switching to a red dot to find it when they're presenting, it also can show up that losing the red dot when you begin to move and you start doing target transitions. So you can do a lot of this dry. It's really just the vision. But as we've discussed in a lot of other videos, once we start to shoot live ammo for a lot of shooters, just the fact of having that little explosion can really change things. So you do want to do this dry fire and live fire. And live fire, look at it as a validation of your dry fire, as well as to work the recoil management, which you can't work on dry fire. Anyway, I hope you liked today's video. As always, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you have any questions or you want us to cover something, give us a thumbs up if you like the video. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.